Hello friends, as you can see we've got ourselves a new little setup coming on. It's a new season. I know we're going into week 2 right now. We missed week 1 a little bit. We've been putting these pieces into place, but here we are. We're going to give you an overview of week 2 now of this summer season of this Optimal Evolution program. So welcome everyone, and let us dive in. So an overview, so we're in this rest year. So the way we break all the program down, we go through these different cycles, which if you're in the program, within each day, there's different educational components, there's different lessons and things that you can engage with. You don't have to, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to engage with, but it's all there if you want to engage with, that kind of walks you through the whole process of how the program is designed. So basically by the end of this whole program, you'll know the ins and outs of the program so that you could write your own program if you wanted to, because that's really, you know, our goal as coaches and teachers isn't so that you have to rely on us the rest of your life. It's so that we can give you the tools so that you can do this stuff for yourself. And like, yes, we'll always be here to support, but I know for me personally, like I feel the most gratified when I see others starting to take their own initiative and starting to use the same principles to then really implement and customize for their own unique situation, which, you know, it's all designed to help you to do, okay? So let's get into it. So I think what we can do and what we'll do here is we'll just kind of go through each one of the days individually. But again, this will be all broken down within the program. This is just our overview for the week. Like I said, this is a rest year. So the capacity is our main focus for this year, really building this foundation for what is to come. So it's like a 4-year, really it's like a 4-year program, if you truly want to get to the big scope of things. So each year we have an overall theme for the year, and then within each of the quarters of the year, each of the seasons has a more emphasis on a specific point. So we're in the summer season right now of the rest year. Summer is all about building. Okay, so we're really doing the main work right now, and being that the focus for the year is capacity, right now we're building strength or power and speed. We're building power and speed, and we're building our capacity for power and speed. That's the emphasis for this summer season, okay? So that's why our test is a 10 rep max snatch and clean and jerk. And I know it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but the purpose behind that is because of that. Our intention is to develop this capacity for power and speed. Or another way you look at it is power endurance. So how long can you sustain your power output? And as we continue to build this foundation, even though you may not see it right away, but this is actually going to set us up to really do the training required to maximize the high end of your lifts. So even though your 1 rep max snatch and clean and jerk may not necessarily go up this cycle, but your capacity to do the training to really maximize your 1 rep max is what's being built right now. So you can also think of this as like, right now we are training to be able to train. Because if we just threw you into like a heavy, and we've been there, we just threw you into a heavy kind of meet prep style cycle where it's like all about, yo, let's get your 1 rep max. Most of us probably wouldn't even be able to handle that level of training, because you have to be conditioned to handle that, okay? So that's a little overview for where we're at right now. I'm gonna kind of pass it over to TJ, and let's break down just, you know, briefly, you don't have to get into the super details, but break down what we're looking at for this week.
Right, and just to piggyback off of what Coach Nate was saying just a second ago, yeah, everyone, it's so important to, I mean, we're in the prep phase, but the whole idea is to prepare, right? You can't, like, you have to set the intention, you have to lay, but if you're gonna go cook a meal, you gotta get all the ingredients out. You gotta like get all your tools and your pots and pans. Like you have to set things up. If you just try to go in there and just, you know, go, like it's probably gonna be a mess. It's probably gonna not go the way you want it to go. It's the same way with training. Any kind of goals that you have to set the intention. So that's the whole point of this phase that we're in, kind of like setting, like you said, training to train, conditioning ourselves to then be conditioned. And honestly, it's as much mental as it is physical, because yeah, even if your body's at a point, typically we're more capable than we think we are, but your brain has to be conditioned to be under difficult and uncomfortable stimulus. Because I mean, your body, if you're going through a tough workout, your body will tell you to stop. I mean, your mind will tell you to stop. Your brain wants to protect you, and so it will try to steer you away from difficult, challenging things out of like fight or flight, because your brain doesn't know, like your body doesn't know that you're just pushing a challenging weight or running or something like that. It thinks you're in danger, so it's going to try to condition. It's going to move you to safety. So it's conditioning yourselves to be okay in those uncomfortable situations, and that translates to life, right? Because life is going to throw things at you that you are not choosing to step into, but you take that strength, that mental capacity that you build from your training, and then take it into your everyday life. So with that and all that, setting the intention and for this week. So emphasis for this week is Dr. Movement, all right? And Coach Nate we're going to get very specific with that in each day. For this first day, the weakness day, all right, is going to be focusing on from the lens of nutrition. And again, he'll go more into that in the specific programming, but just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up with that, all right? And for weakness day, we're looking at it from the lens of what are the elements for our tests, right? Our 10 rep max snatch and clean and jerk. What are the elements of, all right, the test that we need to look at from a lens of weakness that we kind of like want to focus on, right? So we're going to see a snatch complex and a clean complex, right? Because you're going to be doing those things at high volumes, all right? That jerk type complex and then some accessories, right? Kind of just without getting into the nitty gritty of it, setting the intention of that so you all know, hey, this is what we're expecting for this first weakness day. And then we'll kind of set the intention for the next day to get it back to Coach Nate for the specific day, okay?
Cool. Yeah, and a quick note too. So, I mean, one, just full transparency, like obviously we're designing this process of even how we're sharing all of this as we're doing it. So, even see the evolution of how far we've come so far. So, we're going through the same process as all of us in our own unique way. So, we're even evolving this process. But the idea is that for the week, we just kind of give like, it's a broad stroke. Just kind of give you the overview, and even like from a news standpoint, where here are the different events that are going on this week. Here's just some things to look out for during the week. Just really setting the stage for the week, and then each individual day, we will be getting into more of the nitty gritty of each day specifically. Okay, and you'll see that reflected in the program. All right, so on our specific day, so Monday is a weakness day. Day 2, Tuesday, is a specific day. Now, if you're following along with our classes, right now we do classes 3 days a week, and the classes are essentially taking the program and having it into a structured 1 hour time frame to where, anybody that's maybe new, you need some extra additional help, or, you are an experienced athlete and you just like to have that community environment, training with the other athletes. That's what the class time is for, where, personally or any of our other coaches will walk you through the process in that setting. But each day there is something on the program, even though there's not class every day. Each day there's going to be different kinds of lessons and different teachings, because we're taking you through this process. This whole program it's a journey. It's really a hero's journey. It's helping to guide you on your own hero's journey and giving you the tools that you need. And that's where, when we look at all these different elements of there, obviously it can be very, very complex, but when you really just get to the simplicity of it, it is just that. It's like you're on this path in life, and obviously if you're watching this, you're here for a reason. You're on this path in life, and our job is to give you the tools in a systematic way, in a step-by-step fashion, to help you to essentially find your own way in life. But the cool thing is we can have a basic structure to help you to do that, okay? So day 2 is a specific day, and a specific day is what it sounds like, where we do the specific things that we want to get better at when it comes to the test. It says everything's gonna fall back into the test, because that's the main representation of how well we are doing when it comes to whatever the theme is for the cycle. And again, this theme being capacity for power and speed. So the test for the capacity for power and speed, as I said, is 10 rep max. So for your specific day, we're going to be doing, the specific movements, and each day too, there's different levels of volume. So depending on what the volume is, and again, that cycles based on what phase we're in training, and what season we're in, and the different weeks. There's a little number system that we'll continue to break down that we use to help us determine what that is. But essentially we've got 4 exercises, because the volume is a 4 out of 5 for the day. And being a specific day, we're going to do the specific movement. So we're going to do snatch, we're going to do a clean and jerk, we're going to do a front squat, and we are going to do a clean pull, okay? And because it is specific, we're going to be touching some of the higher reps to get us prepared for the test day, all right? So that's the specific day, and now move on to the strength day.
All right, up. And so kind of to bounce off that, everyone, the strength component of, in terms of what we were testing are essentially the things that like we bringing up from the last test, like what's already strong and what we're kind of building on from like the strength aspect of it. Like what are the main components that like are going to need to be strong in order for that test to go well, all right, and effectively, all right? So for that strength day, only got 2 exercises, all right, and we're going to just do a front squat and a bench, all right? The warm-up, and we'll go into that process in a separate video, but the warm-up for each day is gonna prepare you for that specific element of the workout. So a weakness day, it'll look like this, specific day. Each different day will have a warm-up that is tailored to set you up for success in that actual workout. So look for the strength day warm-up to be more in the lines, like to prime you for that, like those lower volume, more, but like a solid push, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, and just a quick note on that. When it comes to strength, again, we're looking at all these in relation to the test. So it's like, what are the things that we're already good at that if we just keep getting better at them,
Yes.
that they're gonna help the test get better. Whereas like the weakness, on the other hand, it's like, what are the weak links in the chain that are holding us back from maximizing the test? And in week 1, I actually broke down, and this is week 3 that we're going over, by the way. In week 1, I broke down I call it specificity prioritization, but basically I broke down the whole order of operations when it comes to, okay, test is number 1, because if you do the test, I mean, if you want to get better at what you're trying to get better at, just do the thing you're trying to get better at, and that's how you get better at it. Okay, and then number 2 would be the weakness. So what are the things that are holding me back from getting better at the thing I want to get better at? And then number 3, as Coach TJ said, is the strength, where it's, okay, here are the things that I'm already good at, but if I get better at them, so maybe you already have a really big squat, and we've just, came off of this cycle of doing squat, bench, and deadlift in the springtime. So we already have a relative strength with those movements. So in the strength day, we're gonna push those movements, okay? So yeah, we got the squat and the squat and bench. All right, and then day 4 is our technique focused day. And on the priority list, this is actually number 6 out of 7, okay? But it's still, obviously, it's important. So this is the day where we kind of open up. Me personally, I usually take this as an optional day. I don't necessarily do every single day because this is built out as a 7-day program. There's training 6 days of those 7 days, but depending on your schedule, depending on how things work, the days of training that you actually do might look a little different, which is why we give you the order of operations. So if you only did 1 day, do the test day. If you've got 2 days, do a test day and do a weakness day. If you've got 3 days, do the test, do the weakness, do the strength. If you've got 4 days, test, weakness, strength, accessory. And then the 5th day would be the specific day. And then the 6th day would be this technique day. So basically, a lot of times we just focus more on bar work, more on active recovery on the test day, or the technique day. So on this day specifically, we'll be looking at more of like a tempo, kind of doing the movements, doing the snatch and clean and jerk, but keeping things real slow, where you can not only focus on technique, but it is also a little bit of a restorative exercise as well, because you are taking things intentionally slower. That's hence active recovery, which, just a little tidbit, active recovery is doing the same thing, like doing your sport, doing the movement, just at a much lower level, whereas passive recovery is doing something different. Okay, so if you're a weightlifter, active recovery is going to look like more weightlifting, just a super low level. But if you're a weightlifter, playing basketball would be considered more of a passive recovery because it's something different from your normal stimulus. Okay, so yeah, that's our technique focus. And then the 5th day of training is going to be our accessory day.
Accessory day. So essentially, everyone, what are the smaller, more minute details that need to be sharpened and brushed on, right, to kind of like help build a bigger picture, right? So accessories are going to be like making sure we're working them on like the imbalances and like the corrective exercise that are going to kind of help keep our bodies together. Because honestly, like if you're doing weightlifting and powerlifting at a high level, like realistically, there's more and more imbalance because our bodies are not symmetrical. We develop, we kind of compensate different sides. Maybe there's tightness or weakness depending on our anatomy and different maybe like situations we've been in, trauma or accidents, whatever. But the accessories kind of help keep everything a little bit more balanced and allow you to basically like work on those compensations. And again, we typically blend a mixture of like strongman, hypertrophy, corrective, and bodybuilding. Those 4 accessory elements kind of help us overall stay strong, but also balanced and symmetrical as much as we can. Then also the corrective kind of helps, again, maybe there's a little bit more of breathing, like practicing involved in it as well. So overall, the accessory is kind of like the glue, if you would. It kind of keeps everything strong together to keep your body functioning with all the other load, with all the other stimulus that you have going on. So a couple different supersets, all right? Can get so we got like more like a strongman superset, then more of like a bodybuilding superset, and then kind of like a corrective and conditioning superset as well. But we'll go through those specifics, later on. But that's the idea of the accessory day. And then finally, we've got the
boom test day. And yeah, I like the analogy you use of the glue, because it kind of is, the accessory day is like you're doing the things that help you continue to do the work to get better at the thing you're trying to get better at. And then day 6 is our test day. So this is kind of when everything comes to a peak, and this is when we're gonna, test what we want to test. So this is the day that we're going to do the 10 rep max snatch and clean and jerk. And this is the one day too that's pretty much, it's gonna stay relatively the same for the whole cycle, because we just want to continue, KPI, your key performance indicator, the thing that's letting you know you're moving in the right direction for what our intention is going to be this 10 rep max, okay? So snatch and clean and jerk, 10 reps each. And ideally, especially we're in the beginning phase, we're in this prep phase right now, so things are still a little lower, where ideally you've been building some momentum now, even after this first couple weeks. But we want to keep that momentum, and we'll just keep kind of inching it. And obviously by the end of the cycle, we'll, be doing more than we've ever done. And we'll know, like, okay, obviously if the test is getting better, then you're moving in the right direction, and your capacity for power and speed is improving, okay? And a little quick note too that relates to the whole week is, like I said, there's different numbers for volume, intensity, and density. Volume's how much overall work you're doing. Density is like the pace, or like how much you're doing within a given amount of time. And then intensity is like how heavy relative to how much you can do that thing. So on the test days are typically when you're going to see the highest level of intensity, because we want to push the weight, but you'll also see the lowest level of volume and density, because we don't want to do a whole lot. We just want to do the test. We don't need to really do much more than that. Whereas a weakness day, for example, is kind of the opposite, where you're going to see the most amount of reps, the most amount of exercises, but the overall intensity and the weight you're going to use is going to be relatively lower. So you can kind of start to see that even within each week, there's these natural cycles and things that we go through, which are really just aligned to nature. Like I said, there's a rest period, there's a prep period, there's a build period, and there's a peak period, which you could respectively relate to a winter period, a spring period, a summer period, and a fall period, okay? So it's all, really the whole program is based off of these elements of nature, because in case nobody ever told you, you are nature. All right, and so when you can align yourself to the nature that you are, the sun goes up, you go up. The sun goes down, you go down. It's springtime, things are opening up, things are blossoming. You're kind of moving on your winter reflections. And now in the summer season, it's all about, it's the water element. We're just flowing now. We've got the stage laid, and now it's just like, all right, get your hammer out. We're doing the work. We're doing the main work right now. And then in the fall time is when we kind of, it's our harvest. When we reap, all right, this is the work we've done. Let's really see where our performance level is at now, okay? And obviously, again, you'll see that reflected at a year level. You'll see that reflected at a quarter level. You'll see that reflected at a monthly level. You'll see that reflected at a weekly level. And you can even see that reflected in the day-to-day level as well, okay? So, one of the goals is to help you start to recognize these different cycles that are going on so that you can really just align yourself to them. Because, nature is already naturing. It's not like you necessarily have to do anything extra. You just have to be aware of what is already happening and then just align yourself to what is already happening, okay? And then, then day 7, we rest. Okay, so day 7 is our primary, and on the order of specificity prioritization, it's number 7. Because basically, it's, if you want to get better at the stuff you're trying to get better at, you got to recover. You got to rest. So Sunday is the day we take for that deep rest, or more like passive recovery, okay? And it's also the day that we take to reflect on the prior week, see how everything went, how were our KPIs, things that we're choosing to measure. And then we also look forward to the next week. What are our intention for the week coming up? What are a few maybe key results that we want for the week? And again, all of the specifics will be reflected day to day in the program. So yeah, that's a basic overview of the week. Again, as we kind of progress, this process, we'll kind of tailor it, and you can imagine there's a lot of different elements that are blending together here. But the cool thing is, it's like you were talking about cooking earlier. It's using that analogy where it's like there's a lot of different ingredients going on, and if you just have a lot of different ingredients laying around, you don't really have a meal yet. You might just have, it's confusing. You don't know what to do with all of this. But the program is essentially the meal. The program is all of these ingredients combined into this delectable dish that you just want more and more and more. So, there it is, my friends. Unless you have any final words, thank you for tuning in, and let's continue this journey, y'all. This is some powerful stuff coming through.
Continue the journey, everyone, and embrace it. Like, what can seem overwhelming, and what may at times feel like, oh, this is too much, or whether it's life or it's personal things or it's your career, like those are always opportunities, almost always. The moments that feel like they're too much or the stage is too bright, opportunities, if nothing else, to go back in and choose yourself, right? Choosing yourself, and it's not always easy. Choosing yourself might be like sacrificing situations that don't align to what you want. It could be moving away from something, moving towards something. It's not always as clear, but as you get more used to choosing yourself and loving yourself, it will become more clear what is for you and what is not. So initially, taking on a challenging program that requires a lot of you might seem like, oh, I don't want to do that. That doesn't seem like it's right for me. But as you do more uncomfortable things and get comfortable in that uncomfortable zone, you might see that the hardest things typically are the things that help you grow the most and help you find out how strong you are, and then lead to you to where you want to go. So trust me, it can seem like a lot, but it's the things that take us away from our comfort that typically help us become who we always have the potential to be. So keep that in mind. We love you guys, and we'll see you soon.
There it is. A quick little resource for y'all this week: How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. A lot of the stuff in here is actually stuff that we take and we implement into the program. So this would be a really good resource for y'all to really just have as a reference point. Obviously, yes, read it straight through, go through the whole book, but even just having it as a reference can be very, very helpful. I use this, now I use it every day, even writing this program, and I've been going through this stuff for, over a decade now. All right, so there it is. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.